Good afternoon, everyone. Mbak Caca. Hello, good afternoon. I think we should start our panel. Today, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to the parallel session, the Anthropology and Sociology of Arts. My name is Sita Hidayah from the Department of Anthropology, and I will be your moderator this time. There is a slight change to the schedule, our schedule today. So today's panel, we have 4 fascinating presenters, which cover quite diverse topics, I think, but maybe I should let you know about the rundown. We will begin our panel with presentation from Mas Petrus. Mas Petrus is here. Would you mind if you present first?
Yeah, sure. But I already sent my video.
Okay, so you would like a pre-recorded video rather than presenting. Yeah. And also Mas Michael, would you?
Yeah, hi Mas Sita.
Hi, hello.
What's up? Yeah, I sent my video to show. Yeah.
Okay, so today's panels we will begin with 2 pre-recorded video, both from Mas Petur Gogor Bangsa with friends, and also Mas Michael Raditya, and then we will continue with Mbak Galuh, and then Mbak Gladys, if it's okay with you all, and if we agree with the arrangement, I would like to inform you that all presenters will have 15 to 20 minutes presentation. Then we will welcome your question directly or via chat. Just state your name and also your the presenter you address your question to. And then we will have a brief discussion at the end of the presenter, but we will have all presenters today. So I would like to introduce you with the first presenter. I think it's quite interesting because Mas Petrus Gogor Bangsa will also represent a team, right, Mas, from two different universities from, excuse me, Mas Petrus Gogor Bangsa from
Indonesian Institute of the Arts.
Yes, and the second university, I'm sorry, I'm not quite familiar with the abbreviation.
Ya, Sekolah Tinggi Seni Rupa dan Desain.
Okay, it's a very good collaboration. Mas Petrus will present the transformation of Indonesian security guard uniforms as implication of Homi Bhabha's social mimicry theory. Wow, it's quite fascinating. So, Mas Petrus, 15 to 20 minutes is yours. But Tata, would you kindly the video, right?
My name is Bangsa. Together with my co-authors, Tadek Rimayudi and Pekijan Niko from Institute Soviet.
We are not quite.
Also, Krisanto Sayogo and Muhammad Danang Syamsi from SDSRD PC. Want to present our paper entitled The Transformation of Indonesian Security Guard Uniforms as Implication of Homi Bhabha's Social Mimicry Theory. Mimicry is known in the animal kingdom when harmless species can change to resemble a dangerous species to scare off its predators. This concept is known as page mimicry. In page mimicry concept, a species that imitates another dangerous species is referred to as a mimic, and a species that is imitated is referred to as a model. In the animal kingdom, mimicry case, for example, happen in harmless American milk snakes that imitate venomous coral snakes as a defensive strategy. These non-venomous snakes evolved to look like this venomous species to scare their predator. Or common hawk-cuckoo or brain feather bird resemble as a seeker, a sparrowhawk. The resemblance to hawk keeps this group of hawk-cuckoo laying their eggs in nests safely away from the predator. When flying, they use a flap and flight style that resembles that of sparrowhawks. Many small birds and squirrels raise the alarm just as they would in the presence of a hawk. This mimicry behavior can also found in human life. When a person or a social group imitates another person or social group that are more respected or scared in order to give the impression that the respected person or social group seem to be present there. In the human life case, we can use Homi Bhabha's social mimicry theory approach. According to Homi Bhabha, mimicry is a strategy of change, regulation, and discipline that adapts to others, because mimicry is a visualization of colonial power. Mimicry is also the sign of the inappropriate, however, deviance or recalcitrance, which coerces the dominant strategic function of colonial power, intensifies surveillance, and poses an imminent threat to both normalized knowledge and disciplinary powers. As the subject of this research is the uniform of the Indonesian Security Unit of SAT, it has undergone a transformation in its shape, color, and completeness. In accordance with the regulation of the Indonesian National Policy number 4 of 2020 concerning self-security, one of which regulates the uniform and attributes, the security guard. In the latest regulation, the uniform of the security guard has changed to be similar to the uniform of the Indonesian National Police. This study will examine the effect of visual mimicry on the subject and its surrounding in accordance with Bates' mimicry concept and Homi Bhabha's social mimicry theory approach. The study will try to answer the question of whether the transformation of the Indonesian security guard uniform is able to give an imitation effect of the presence of the police officers in a place. This research was conducted in the period of 2021 in Yogyakarta with the subject of the latest version of the security guard uniform. Data were collected through direct observation, interviews with relevant sources, and literature studies. The state police said the changes the security guard uniform to be similar to the police uniform was to foster emotional closeness between the security guard and the police. The second reason is to create a sense of pride among the security profession. Another reason is that their presence adds to the function of the police in the field. For example, when people see them on guard at banks, offices, in uniform similar to police in brown color, there will be minimal vibration. If people want to commit crimes, we can prevent them by their presence in the field. Field observation found that the uniform wearer or the satman itself felt proud and confident with their new uniform, which was similar to the Indonesian police uniform. On the contrary, it creates a vibration on the people who meet them. However, it also raises concern if this has been going on for a long time and people are starting to get used to this new uniform, which reduces the vibration power and makes it no longer a difference between security guards and police. Thus, the imitated party is disadvantageous. The new uniform of the security guard has significant similarities with the police uniform, especially in its color and attributes, so that in a short time and at a certain distance, it's not easy to distinguish between them. Police are often identified with repressive and oppressive things. Mimicry is essentially self-defeating by reducing the difference between imitators and the imitated. This imitation process is solely for its own sake and purpose. Bhabha develops this idea by stating that mimicry is a process of rewriting the identity of the colonized in the third phase. It's a way of deconstructing the discourse of the colonizer.
Thank you, very sufficient. Mas Kokor, would you like to add something to your pre-recorded video, or we can continue to the next presenters?
Okay, yeah, thank you. Maybe sound is not so clear, so I think some are not can really. This is our initial in this stage. So
we try to use Homi theory of sociology to understand this phenomenon. But I still find a gap between the phenomenon and the theory we use. So we still to try to fix the theory to answer the phenomena. The theory you found of literature like poetry and novels. And in this my occasion, I try to use this theory to answer the visual phenomenon. So this is the my input. I have to develop this research after this. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We will looking forward to the discussion later. Now we continue to the emerging Dangdut scholar, Mas Michael Praditya. Maybe Mas Michael also will have a pre-recorded video. Okay.
Our speakers and moderators, and also distinguished participants. My name is Michael H. Praditya from the Dadu Study Center and Performing and Visual Art Studies with School University Mada. Today I'm going to talk about dangdut and performance. My presentation title is Can We Dance While Seeing Screen? The Resilience of Blindness in the Music During COVID-19. So I believe you see where it's going. This presentation deals with the digital performance, emotive blindness, how them survives and COVID-19. The last time that I mentioned COVID-19 is for showing condition. This presentation, I'm going to talk about negotiation and other states to keep it going. And I will stimulate with the question, what is music? What is a feeling? And what the thing that negotiated? I will just talk on performance studies. I will start this presentation with how dangdut works, how dangdut is performed, what is experience when watching dangdut. From my interviews with audience and performers, dangdut is defined as not just music, but just sound. Further, the power of dangdut is in live performance. When I heard this, it was not astonishing because the mode of performing dangdut, since it's emerging in the 70s, was created by live performance. During the era of the Persebaya, there was no mediation sound system. So the music was played acoustically. The viewer and the audience are in the same space and time. This pattern developed where the sound instantly became the mediation of the sound on the stage. However, remember, the viewer and the audience remain in the same space and time. In terms of liveness, it becomes a kind of standard formula for how the show is staged. They are in the same space and time. So my question is, so what appears in live performance? I will play the videos that I made in 2017 in Jombang, East Java. That time I was listening about the Japanese dangdut. One of the articles can be written in Jombang. I will type in the chat column. Okay, I will play these two videos. You can see the interaction from the audience. First one. The best part. The other one is from these two videos, what comes to your mind? I will have it help to map it out. From the videos, several things can be in my opinion, there's like code, relation, interactivity, intimacy, reciprocity, liveness, ambience, response, right now and right here as a participation. Now states stimulate the audience to respond, dance instead of listening. The dancing audience create ambience, intimacy, interactivity, productive. The viewers are an important reason for stimulating big vision of this presentation, because those factors are essential in the dance performance, particularly live performance. Furthermore, I see if dance in live performance has an efficacy as a power and participation. And the audience often translate the piece at stage magic. This thing is also what the dynamic audience agrees with, both from the performer and the audience. Most of the artists live and the other bands that I spoke up to wanted to live performance. However, that all changed because of a first major call COVID-19 March 2020 in Indonesia. COVID-19 in Indonesia has even happened until now. The impact is that there is no live stage. According to this fact, how did Dangdut against negotiate with the situation? How does the Dangdut stage survive COVID-19? How does Dangdut innovate the latest condition? And what efforts have been made by Dangdut against during COVID-19? So I'm going to articulate the efforts of against such as always double game the other again of Dangdut that is dominated by youth from Japanese speakers. They made the live streaming performance with several treatments for the audience during COVID-19. All the that I mentioned were migrating from offline to online performance. This mode is the most widely used when the physical stage is moved to online stage. So the treatment was performance that moved from open stage to a studio without an audience. Meanwhile, viewers went online via YouTube or Instagram Live or similar media. The show is broadcast live streaming. I'm lucky because I observed how this first invasion worked. On August 21st, 2020, a well-known dance band called Poles released their album, but COVID-19 came and went in between.
We will please excuse us, give us a few minutes to fix the problem. While we try to fix the issues with the sound.
Visuals and complicated
Okay.
technicalities. Moreover, the audience watches the music performance from the screen of their cell phones or laptops. See, on the left side there's a video, and on the right side there's like a comment during the concert. Of course, if there were no COVID-19, this would not be done, but things have changed while introducing the album in its time. From the video, it can be seen how the streaming show is held. From the comments of Dazen, the vocalist of Omores, the audience has a big influence on the online dance performance. Audience that were previously visible and easily interacted need to be treated differently. I suspect that online viewers are only a matter of numbers, but I was wrong. Instead of the attendees is read from the number of views, viewers can also comment directly. Like further, the audience can interact. However, the funny thing is that countless interactions seem to occur in live performance. Like you can see this. This is the picture that I screen cap from the video. There's like song requests, greetings, compliment, even interaction to buy drinks occurred. Of course, this can be read as a sense of state longing, but also shows how the interaction changes in different forms, but still has certain characteristics. They are not totally different. According to this mood, treatment for other audience is also intervened by another dangdut band named Gwen Waton. Gwen Waton also make a similar pattern. They broadcast themselves on Instagram Live. Gwen Waton broadcast their rehearsal and practice on Instagram Live instead of a well-prepared album or online stage. As a result, the view from the video is their home and base camp. You can see the number of audience. The audience is active accounts. The account represents a person or group. The account can provide comments and love as shown on the right of the image. The comments also apply the same, asking for songs, compliments, greetings, and so on. Of course, this pattern can be interpreted as the latest technology, but I see this pattern can be interpreted as how music is not only a finished product, but also processed. This pattern allows awareness to capture and live stream the process, so viewers can access how they record and process. This treatment shows how the dimension of closeness to the audience is. Furthermore, they do not only show practice session, but recording session with the same platform. They can comment directly and on the process. The third treatment for the audience is to active their presence, which is not limited to numbers and comments in chat box, YouTube, or Instagram. So the audience is presented, but under certain condition. Online reminds their mode of streaming in a closed stage with a limited audience, but awareness of the audience is starting to be considered. The committee is rethinking how to bring audience involvement. Finally, on a download stage on August 1st, 2020, is present an audience with a medium often used during COVID-19, Zoom here. The singer is Denny Chaknan from Maui. Like, you can see the technology things happen. I'll show you the other one. It's a Darby game. Yeah. From the video, we can see if the presence of the audience is realized. The audience are placed in a different frame and can be seen directly. The response of the audience dancing side by side on the screen, where on the left side are the audience, on the right side are performance taking Chana and Darbergeng. The committee randomly selects the Zoom viewer's image. This pattern forces them to respond to the virtual states. The funny thing is that the audience joins in dancing. They compete from one audience to another in the Zoom frame. There were shocked and silent viewers before being spotlighted by the committee, but he automatically started dancing when the spotlight was on him. In addition, some audience watch alone, together, or in groups. It's certainly interesting how the audience creates the atmosphere and the ambience of their experience. Then the question is, doesn't this also happen on the live stage, where the audience will be more intensive with their friends? In short, those three examples are what stimulate me to analyze. So what can be seen from this? Of the three treatments, I would like to emphasize that the three case studies migrate live performances to live streaming. Live performance has the same time and the place requirements, while live streaming only has one condition, the temporal things. You can see the picture in the right side. The same location between the viewers and the audience is not physically connected, but online on the same concentration, screen with a specific performance. In the performance formula, there's classified as follows. This the picture in the left side, this statement from the Philip Ostrander, the scholar of performance studies. But you can see I highlight this is the classic likeness, and then this is the new one, the group. So the performers and the audience are temporarily present in that the audience with us or hear the performance as it happens, but they are not spatially co-present. If we talk about download case studies that I reveal, this second type is very representative of the situation. However, what is considered missing from live streaming? Interaction, intimacy, and participation are important issues. It makes the efficacy of download performance disappear. The three audience treatments used in the download show are interesting because they offer an important interaction to look at the object. Furthermore, we can discuss how we start from the physical present that is arranged in such a way part of the performance. In Denny Chan and Darbogang case, the audience gets the spotlight side by side with singer when a song is played or quiz when they are on the break. Or the examples like Om Wallace and Glenn Watton, they can comment during the show. Can this replace the live performance, like the live streaming like this and the treatment? Of course, we need to change the pretension of the question. The live performance and live streaming do not replace each other, but complement each other. Some things cannot be realized in live streaming, even in live performances, while live streaming has also happened. However, with the download case study, we can see how the download can survive in difficult circumstances. Through this translation, we can also question how the interaction intimacy, liveness, and efficacy of live performance are. Like you can see that the interaction in the online download performance, there's like a comment, there's like an interaction, and then they have like effort to to show the audience like that. So as a result, does live performance always create moment and efficacy? It's not live streaming like this with various treatments already a moment and efficacy itself. So I think that's it from me. Let's discuss. Thanks.
Wow, very interesting. Thank you, Mas Michael Raditya. It's are we all miss a live concert? And now we are going to continue with Mbak Gladys Eliona Shahutari. Mbak Gladys will talk about women as narrative subjects in graphic novels. Would you kindly present your paper? Mbak Gladys, hello. Thank you. Wow. Bagus sekali.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
So yeah, I think I have to put it on the full screen first. I'm sorry if it's really soundscape here because I'm actually on Biennale Jogja. So yeah, please excuse me for the soundscape. All right. Is it visible?
Clear and loud.
All right, cool. So yeah, good afternoon, everybody in this panel. My name is Gladys Eliona Shautari. I'm from Performing Arts and Visual Arts Studies, Universitas Gajah Mada. My paper today that I will present here is Women as Narrative Subjects in Graphic Novels. Well, graphic novels have synonym, which is comics. But graphic novel is a different term of comic, but not all comics are graphic novels. We will discuss that later. So the topic outline for today, we will talk about hypermasculinity in the comic industry, and then we will discuss about female representation in comics, and then how the representation will bring us to how women represent themselves in the autobiographical comics. And the cases that I will bring about today is about Marjane Satrapi, Anya Brosgol, and Sheila Roswita Putri. And then we will jump into conclusion. So yeah, about hypermasculinity in comic industry. So for us that really observe about comic industry and graphic novels in general, there are a lot of researches, and also this is like a general knowledge that comic industry are actually their demographically favorable consumers are teenage cishet male. This is pictured from a lot of hypermasculine authority figures, like superheroes that are very strong, aggressive, and usually kind of like antisocial, so that they are very adored and like very out of this world. And then the women that are represented in the comics are actually became like the sex object. They become the characters that must have been saved. They are like the damsel in distress. So this kind of really triggers a lot of anxieties in women artists, because the representation that illustrate that the comic book industry are really masculine. It is really favoring male readers, cisgender and heteronormative, and it's really just preserving the assumption that the demographic wants sexual objectification only, and there are no actually development in that kind of heteronormative thinking. Yeah, and again, this demeans women, and it sets the tone for an unfriendly industry, and it damaged the image of female readers. And if the female reader's image is damaged, so the female comic artists have taken bigger damage than that. So yeah, how about like the female representation in comics? Well, so because of the comic industry is very hyper masculine, there are a lot of attempts from readers and attempts from the artists to really embody the representation in the comic industry and the graphic novel industry. But this can be a very problematic one also, because it, it, in one side it can give women the stage to really talk about what they want to show us, but in the other side it kind of become a validation that it is just like it's a very masculine place. We're just going to validate that comic industry will always be masculine and a very male-centered narrative all along. So women as hero subjects in history, in the comics, heroine will actually walk towards their own goal and struggling with their life, and will always have problem because of men. And it's really hard because in the comics, in the comic world, all of women's problem were emphasized. All of the women's problem are because of men, and that's kind of problematic too. So the involvement of women who are full of passion for life and searching for independence, it really gives this nuance for the relationship between women and men, and it really kind of like again validating that comic industry is very male standard, because yeah, um women's problem is always about men, which we will discuss deconstruct it again after that. So to break away from that masculine centered narrative, the view of women's expression to be a standalone, to be independent, they rather shift to social media comic industry, or they will turn into an autobiographical mode. So this is why we talk about autobiographical comic by women today, because frankly, this is the safest form for women comic artists or women graphic artists to really be out of the male-centered narrative in the comic industry. Feminist autobiographical comic were first published in the early 1970s, and then it correlates with the second wave feminism, because there are a lot of social shifts after we know a Western 1960s civil rights thing, and that the awareness about diversity and gender representation in popular culture are raising since the 70s. Although it is exist since 1970s, the inclusion of women in the industry only just start in 1990s or early 2000s. Yeah, so this is why we say it's a narrative. We say it's a feminine narrative, because the women try to shift it. The women try to make it about them instead of preserving the male-centered narrative that is very systemic, very very putting in our veins like that. And also the interesting part about autobiographical comics by women, there are a lot of variety. There are a wide variety of works by female authors that delve into a very personal aspect of them as a human. They talk about their childhood. They talk about their body. They concern about their silence and about how their story make them invisible just because they are put it in a very domesticated way. So yeah, our first case is actually Marjane Satrapi. For a lot of people who reads comics, Marjane Satrapi is one of the prominent feminist comic artists from Iran, and she is now resided in Netherlands. And then in this comic, Embroideries, or in Indonesian, it is translated as Bordir. It's a very interesting graphic novel, because it is telling about a safe space consists of middle-aged women, and the teen Marjane was there to listen to women quarreling about about like life as the women and how they have to be domestic, how they don't really like the husband they were forced to married with and stuff. It is really representing this safe space that were never told before in the comic in the comic form. um, yeah, the conversation took place in a safe space of women when they can have opinions about lives and they owning their own narrative, because they're so tired of being objectified by the men that usually dominate um, their life. And it's a very and it's very uh, blatant critic on a patriarchal society and tabooing things in Iran. This is the what is it? The this is the comic, the part of the comic. It's a very women centered. It's a very safe space for women, and yeah, no, it's non judgmental at all, and it's really warm to really read that. And we're going to Vera Brosgol's comic. Vera is Russian American. She is an immigrant, and in in her work, Anya's Ghost, it is a story that about Anya, who was followed by a female ghost at her age, which was she was like 14 or 13, that was died just because of abandonment. Um, I think this is also a subtle critique of position of immigrants, women, and queer people. And this is interesting because the comic consists of queer female characters, a teen queer female characters, and it's not just highlighting the misfits archetype, but it also like including the unheard voice, and it's very realist. It give us a magical realism vibe, but it also putting us in in a very realist situation of teenagers. Um, this is the comic. We can see how Anya is trying to be a naughty girl by smoking, and then this queer friend and a very womanly talk in the toilet. It's a very women experience if yeah if we know it. Okay, and then the last one is from Indonesia. uh Sheila Roswita Putri is one of emerging Indonesian. She's not emerging. She's a very prominent comic artist from Jakarta. The difference is Sheila showed that being a woman and owning her narrative, it's not about freedom. It's not really about freedom. It's really not about independence or per se, but her choice to be a mother, her choice to be to work on a domestic way, it's another form of liberation, because being a wife and being a mother, it's also a free choice for a woman rather than a forced circumstance. Shayla told us how being a mother, wife, and having a family and a very domesticated life is also a personal choice. And she still can be a full woman, uh, although she decided to be a mother and in a very traditional family. In her graphic novel, she shows that how the presence of her husband and children does not decrease her identity at all. It even enhance her identity as Sheila. It's making her femaleness validate like that. And she expresses the ups and downs of being a Southeast Asian mother and at home facing daily things and a comic artist in the same time in a very nice slice of life form. this is the form, like this. It's very heartwarming, and it is very realist because it talks about domestic life, and it's the part of the female experience and narrative as well. Yeah, life in bedroom, life in the family car and stuff. So yeah, to conclude, women are starting to get their place in the world of comics in the past 20 years. And women comic artists and readers started to have their own narrative. And presence of men in the narrative is not merely a source of problem anymore. It's just like it's just the part of the daily life experience. It's not the man in our narrative is not just for the validation, rather strengthens the argument that women are equal to men in terms of right to have space to express things. And the character built in the comics written by women are not exaggerated, and it's more human. Um, and I have to end it. I have to argue that it doesn't necessarily say that male comic artists and writers cannot create human character, but it should be a nice awareness to us for realizing that comic industry itself, it's still based on the masculine market up until now. Thank you. Uh, thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Mbak Gladys, for your very vivid presentation, both visually and conceptually. I'm obsessed with this presentation. Thank you. And now we are looking forward to the last presenters today, Mbak Galuh. She will present about batik filling and the mysterious Japanese food. I'm sorry, maybe I'm make wrong correlation, but please welcome Mbak Galuh. If I'm not mistaken, Mbak Galuh would also like to have a pre-recorded video presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I am Galuh Ambarsasi. I come from History Department, Universitas Kristen Satyawacana, and I am with my colleagues.
Hello everyone, my name is Teresia Pratiwi Elengstio Sanubari. I come from Nutrition Department, Universitas Kristen Satyawacana.
We would like to present our recent research about batik filling motif and the hidden knowledge of Japanese food. Our research based on two phenomenon. First of all, according to the UNESCO, Indonesian batik is intertwined with cultural identity of Indonesian. And then batik symbol, meaning its color and its design, express the Indonesian creativity and spirituality. But in other hand, batik also represent a social structure of a society. In Java, for example, there are various rules regarding the batik wearing, such as forbidden motif. But we didn't find about identity and motive in Sangiran. In our batik social experience, during May and June this year, we found that Sangiran batik doesn't represent their identity as an ancient human site, but it represents Surakarta batik design style. And in our first impression, the labor often mentioned isen term rather than batik motif or design. So we have simple question. What does the isen means, and do the batik labor have similar knowledge and understanding about it? And we try to compare with literature, and we found that the study of the batik filling motif is relatively limited, and it only provides information about the process of batik making or the size of canting or batik drawing tools, as well as the image or illustration about isen. And then isen or batik filling motif in other literature are combination of lines and point. So we try to enrest about batik filling motif.
To answer our question, we try 3 focus group discussion. So the first focus group discussion, we only want to interact with the local people who made the batik in Sangiran. So we invite the former juragan or the batik masker, pengobeng, the women laborers, the tukang gambar or penyunting, the batik motif maker, the tukang kelir or the colorist, and the Pok Darwis, because we do our project in Sangiran. So Pok Darwis is the important stakeholder in our research. Pok Darwis is the tourist awareness group. While we did our focus group discussion for the first time, we see the gap between the pengobeng or the women laborers and the batik masker who usually a man. So the pengobeng, the batik laborers, also nod their head and smile, and they usually keep silent, and also said that they only will follow the order for the juragan or the master. So even when we try to separate them and make the small group, the women and the men sitting separately, and everyone sat based on their profession. So from this first focus discussion, we make the second focus group discussion. So the purpose of the second focus group discussion is to break the gap between the men and the women of batik craft in Sangiran. So we asked them a question: where they live, and who is their neighbor, and what they have does it in their environment and their surrounding. And in the end of this focus group discussion, we got surprised because the result it's not we imagined before. At first, we think that batik is the main job for them. But after we talk and discussion and see and hear their opinion, we realize actually batik it's not their main job. It's show when the weather was suddenly cloudy, the pengobeng or the women lost their attention and whisper it's an other. And they even asked us to stop this discussion because they need to go home to gather their grains and clothes on their home. And they even explained to us that they need to bring money from our discussion, because if it's not, the husband will forbid them to join. So we can conclude for this focus group discussion that they make the relation between batik and their activity to money. So they only need batik only for money. But we continue our discussion to the third focus group discussion. So on the third focus group discussion, we asked them to draw anything what they like on the piece of paper or maybe on the cloth. And then we asked them to explain to us what the meaning of that draw. It is represent them about the relation between them and the community. And while we discussed about the results of their drawing, we can see that the isen that usually come from women, because men only draw the main motif, they feel it with something that really related with their activity and that surrounding. For example, they draw a plant, fruit, seed, flower, spices, food, and animal. And it's really the drawing, it's only about the local food and the something we can found around them. So it's totally different with the literature that we mentioned before.
Okay. And from our research, we also found that the structure about the batik craft industry. In this structure, like a pyramid, we found that the woman labor or pengobeng, pose as the lowest position. They call that they don't have knowledge about batik, especially batik filling motif, and they are just illiterate women and ordinary labor. And in this structure, we also found that Juragan is the highest structure pyramid, and then there are
So on our result, we also find that the inequality between the women and then the master. So the women tend to obey the master or the tukang sungging request. They only follow the order and did not allow to design as they want. But actually we found that the feeling motif, it is the women decision to make them. And the other hand, we also found that the women laborers has a double or triple works. So they work as a housewife, the farmer, and the batik craft maker. So it will lead them to the vulnerable condition, such as they have the minimum money from the work. And but we also find the knowledge of batik feeling motif are related to women daily experience, food access, and food waste. And for women, batik feeling motif are not only about art, knowledge, skill, or part of livelihood. It also related to the family sustainability.
So, in the last, from our research, we see that Indonesian and Southeast Asia should looking back their art. Art provide food reference and food wise for the future. And in other hand, art such as batik feeling motif has a potential to be an alternative historiography. This is our present, and we waiting for your comment and critic. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mbak Teresia Pratiwi and Mbak Galuh Ambar for your interesting topic about batik feelings. Now we welcome your question, and we can have a brief discussion related to previous presentation. We have already question posted in chat, but we, of course, you are more than welcome to raise your hand and ask directly the question to the presenter. But it's a very interesting presentation. We are earlier we talked about the unsettling imitation of Indonesian guard uniform by Pak Petrus Bagas Bangsa and the team. And then we also talk about the resilience of dangdut music by Mas Michael Raditya. And then we have a very vivid presentation by Gladys about women as narrative subjects in graphic novels. And then the last, Mbak Galuh and Mbak Teresia about the batik feelings. And it's interesting because Mbak Galuh and Mbak Teresia are from history department. So I think we should start our discussion here with the question posted by Mas Michael Raditya. I think it's earlier. Please raise your hand if you would like to ask the question directly to the presenter.
Hi.
Okay.
My name is Mehdi. Actually, I'm wondering. First of all, thank you for your presentation of participants. All of them are very interesting. I'm wondering about the perspective of all of the participants. So, in my perspective, that if we understand about sociology of art or anthropology of art, usually we think that like a textual, like art in textual, it transforms something, or it becomes something, or contextual, but I think there's so limit about research in how in text was uh, uh, dipengaruhi oleh sosial. Like when we think about sociology of music, we always think about how music reflect or music become something new or to transform in something as social in social terminology or in cultural terminology. But right now, how like music inside the text, it was there are social inside that. But I don't know how to mention it, but like right now I'm learning about socio-musicology. So how in text of music or in performance was become social. Not only social as we know is interaction, but inside the text there is social. Like I see in Galo research about batik. Not only women are the women are the actor of making batik, but inside the batik there are women. Now I think that every time if we many webinar or many seminar or many research, mostly they are researching about sociology of art or anthropology of art that are transformed to something. And I don't know why they are limit research about cultural or maybe social are involved inside the text. Maybe the presenter can answer my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mbak Mediana Untung. I would like to invite all presenters to respond to a very important question from Mbak Mediana. I think all presenters. Monggo.
Okay, I will jump in first. Am I audible? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Mbak Medi, thank you for the question. I think that because my presentation is about the performance studies, as long as we know, like performance studies came from like anthropology, also in sociology and folklore and history, and then the other perspective. And then in my research at this right now in my presentation, it's about liveness. Liveness is about interaction. It means like when I try to show you how the interaction change in the social life. So that's why I'm trying to show you, like in my presentation, how the society like survive and how society try to show their expression with the Zoom or the digital performance. So that's why I think that it's not only about the dangdut itself, but it also talk about the interaction, about the intimacy, because the intimacy, I think it's really essence. It's really, it's really deep. It's not only about like we said that dangdut is only about the lyrics, but my presentation show you the interaction, the deep, the deep. I think that I articulate the deep interaction, and then how about intimacy between the audience and the performers, and then it's not only about the music. So that's why this is about the anthropology things, to show you how the the relation, how to the society responds the era like this. I think that it is enough. Thank you, Mbak Sita.
Thank you, Mas Michael. Perhaps other presenters, Pak Petrus, Mbak Gali, dan Mbak Galuh serta Mbak Teresia, atau timnya Pak Petrus. Monggo, ada yang
Okay, thank you. I think this question is not do not mention to my paper, but I try to answer some. I try to connecting this question. Yes, I think it is a unique phenomenon because that human can also do some mimicry behavior. So the mimicry behavior can also found in human life. So when a person or a social group imitates another person or social group that are more respected or scared, like the police, in order to give the impression that the respected person or social group seems to be present there. In the human life case, we can found this phenomenon. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Shall we continue to a question posted by Mas Michael? Thank you, Petrus. And if others wants to respond, we can always come back to this question. Dari Mas Michael, I'm interested to implication of the masculinity comic to women readers and vice versa. The feminist narration comic to men readers, to male readers perhaps. Mbak Gladys, would you kindly respond to a question from Mas Michael? Hello, Mbak Gladys.
Hello. Yeah. Wait a minute. I'm interested. Oh. Is it about like the implication of the implication of the masculinity in comics, masculine comics to women readers?
Yeah.
And okay,
That is the experience of the the readers, that is, because as you know, like construction in patriarchy, and then you try to change the perspective, and then there's like feminist comic, and how about the men readers? It means like there's like a complexity there, and then I'm trying to to get your idea about that.
Yeah, thank you for the question. It's well, what I get from my own experience as a comic reader, and also the papers that I read is actually I think my resources are more American, are more like American based, because it is, that is why like my presentation talks about like second wave feminism, because and like how 1970s changed how women's involvement in the comic. I think because my resources and how I perceive it is more to American comic industry, because because since Action Comics, if you ever know Superman was published in Action Comics in 1920s, in 1929, and it is like a new kind of entertainment in the wars, and it's kind of like a propaganda for men to really like owning their masculinity, and they are needed in wars. So I think that is why the masculinity in comics are happened. It's kind of like making teens wants to like become involved in war, become involved in the society, more as troops and as part of military. And that is why women narration is not included. So the implication is that women are tend to be viewed as a very domesticated creatures. Because if we ever read like many American comics, women are just like the love interest. Women, if you read Spider-Man, you know Mary Jane will always be the love interest. Even if we watch American comic based films, we will always like unconsciously search who will be the love interest, who will be like the sex object of the male narration. So after like that 1970s awareness, the civil rights awareness, um, that women are like, we're not just an object, we're not just a sex object. uh, that is why in the 1970s, like that is why in the 1970s 1980s, women start to, we want our own story, we want our own points of view, rather than yo males, rather than men telling about our story, telling about what they see about us, what they see um, in their male gaze. We want to have our own narration, and I think that's the uh, implication. Yeah? I think that triggers that after all of these wars, after all of this industry established, women finally realize that, oh, we have been narrated differently and unjustly by people that are not us, but by the people that are not our identity like that. So I think it's more about the realization that we're owning our identity, we're owning our um, narrative. Like women telling about women are very different than men telling about women, and vice versa. I think that's my answer. I hope it answers.
Yep, thank you, Gladys.
Thank you, Mbak Gladys. And there's one question for Mbak Galuh and Mbak Teresia. Waste, limbah, is the impact of batik production with the big numbers. I mean, because of the large number of batik production, the waste will impact our ecology. My question is easy. Where does the idea of food come from? Is it from the imagination as nostalgia, or the plant from their land? So there's actually two questions. First, about the waste and the impact to the surrounding, and also where does the idea of food or the inspiration of the feeling, the batik feeling, came from. I would like to invite Mbak Galuh and Mbak Teresia.
Yes, I will try to answer. Thank you very much for the question from Michael and Mbak Mediana. Where does the food idea come from? Yeah, when in our research, when I will draw the batik feeling and I have no idea, the woman, the pengobeng, advised me to draw several pattern like cacah gori or beras wutah or kembang jeruk or sawo and extra, and we didn't know what is that. And cacah gori means jackfruit, and curry. The village, Javanese village, always cook for their daily cook, for gudeg in Jogja or curry or lodeh in several places in Java. And then praswuta means rice, a lot of rice. So it can symbol of rights and prosperity. So and then jeruk, orange, and blanding. When they talk about blanding flower pattern, actually we don't know what melanding in English or in Indonesia, but they call melanding. They told us about boto and or pelas on cans of daily daily food for them. So it is not imagine food or nostalgia food, but they cook them every day. And talking about transform, when we study about batik feeling and the food, they tell about their collective memory, how they cook it, how they prepare it, and also how they access it. And how about limbah or waste? During our research, the colorist or tukang kelir, they always ask Tiwi and me how much money do you have? And we are confused about it. Why the men, especially the colorists, always ask about money? And when we draw together about batik feeling, they always draw the colorist equipment. And when TV asked them, they told us that they have to ensure that the limbah or waste is not dangerous for the environment. Maybe TV will add my explanation, please, TV.
Thank you, Mbak Galuh. Maybe I will add some information for our research. So the idea for the food actually also come from their occupation as a farmer. So like Mbak Galuh said, it can be the paddy or the what they doing during their day. Sometimes it's come from the feeling, how they feeling the batik itself. Actually, we don't know. This is our question at first also. It's come from their imagination, or maybe it's come from their daily or their surroundings. So actually, we also ask them about how the idea come from, because at first they afraid to draw at first for the women, because they said that it is the responsibility for the men who draw, and they only feeling the batik, and they feeling it by what they want. So we ask, we talk, and we discuss, and they explain because it's come from their surrounding, and they try to transform it into their drawing. And for the waste, yes, so actually because it is not their main job, so it's they only doing it for their when they are free. So for the waste, it's not a problem. It's not a big problem for them because they only make some of them and not so big. Thank you.
Thank you, Mbak Galuh and Mbak Teresia. We will still have time, actually, maybe 1 or 2 questions from participants. Okay. Yes, we still have half an hour at least before the room will be automatically closed. We still have time, but I also have another question, but perhaps for Mbak Galuh and Mbak Teresia. I'm interested in the division of labor and also the separation of seating. Is it also represent the broader social hierarchy? Is it like also represent the broader society in general in this Sangiran? Is it correct in Sangiran? I hope I don't. Yeah. Do you think it's yeah? So the division of labor and separation of seating. Thank you.
Okay, maybe I will ask this question. Maybe Mbak Galuh can add some answer. So for our perspective, yes, it's defined them by the profession, but also by them by their gender, because it's when in our first focus group discussion, actually when women was late, and she sat near me who already talking with the man group, and suddenly the women refused to talk and sit over there, and she moved to another group because she said she didn't comfortable in my group, and she even said that because it's not my part, it is not my responsibility to talking about drawing, so it's better for me to move to another group. Even the women on the other group called her because it's not her place to sit there. So yeah.
Mbak Galuh, would you add some?
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Actually, we were about 12 researcher, and we didn't have interest there. We just invite by our colleagues to join and traveling there. So we had more time to observe the local people than other researchers. And yes, there are hierarchy, and the hierarchy is about language, also about language, how the woman the woman batik worker or labor always spoke in how to say in kromo halus to other profession to the tukang kelir, tukang gambar, and also to Pok Darwis women. They spoke in Kromo Inggil or the highest Javanese language hierarchy. So they also they post in the lowest position. Thank you.
Thank you, Mbak. It's very insightful findings. And there's Pak Petrus Gagas.
Okay, thank you. I have no question, but I will give a comment to Michael. I'm so interesting to your paper. It's so.
Thank you, Pak Gugor.
Yeah, I have a comment that I think that something that online, something that do by online ways, or everything that online is not something in itself, like online class. I think that is not a class itself. It's still an online. It's still virtual or online concert. I think we have no ambience about the online concert. I think I do not sing along together with the online concert. Even I am in my own room in my house, I cannot sing along together with the singer. Different than I join the live concert. I can sing, I can dance, I can shout. So I think any online activities will not be able to replace the real activities. Do you agree about this? I don't know, but yeah, I think this what they do is only survival, only to making it better in during the pandemic, like online concert. It's better than no concert at all. But I think the live concert is never to be replaced with any online concert, even in a virtual reality. Even you wear goggles in virtual reality, I think it's not it cannot be replaced. Will not replace the real concept, the live concept. That is, thank you. Very interesting paper, Michael. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Gugor. Masita, can I comment back?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you, Pak Gugor. I think that, yes, I know. I think that the common comments like Pak Gugor said that there's like performance has the research trainer said the efficacy. There is something that you can replace from if the online streaming. But I think that the debate of the live streaming and the live performance, I think has developed. It means like there is like a scholar for performance studies named Peggy Pellan. She believed that the online streaming or online performance cannot be, there is like energy that cannot show in the online streaming. But the other scholar from the America named is Phil Obstander, he is a scholar the performance studies. He said he said, and he tried to articulate what is mediated performance and immediated performance. It means like there are many cases that in the live performance is mediated. It means like there's like a mic, there's sound system or something like that. And then he tried to show us about how the classic liveness, it means like the liveness, the energy of that, the experience of audience. There's like classic liveness. This is that there's like you should right. There's a principle like the space and place. It means like the time is right now and right here. It's easy like that. And then, but the other perspective from the Philip Alexander said that I think it is okay if the performance is only about the same space, not only about the same space. It means like you can do the online things, but the time is the key, because there's like ephemeral things. And it's like the Indonesia is kesementaraan. There's the performance things. But from the debate of the liveness in the performance studies, as we can see how the liveness can be read from the other phenomenon. So I think that this is typical of the scholar to questioning everything and then try to show what is the develop from the perspective. There's like the intimacy, there's like interactivity, there's participation. I think that, so that's why I'm interested with that in performance studies. So in this research, I don't have an attention to replace the live performance. It means like I'm trying to show you as a researcher. I think that is I think the role of researchers is to catch every phenomenon and try to articulate and elaborate with the. And I hope that we can think more fluid about what is the next form of the performance, things like that. So that's why instead of I just believe the live performance is the key of the energy of that, but I'm trying to catch the dangdut activists, and it's like the Darboy gang and the Caknan, and then there's like Om Wawes and Bion Waton, which was their youth and the young generation of dangdut that I'm trying to to catch what was going in the COVID-19. I think that they survived. So that's why I put the term of the resilience in my presentation, but the resilience of liveness. So I think that about trajectory, how the liveness is not only about stuck, but the dynamic of that. So that's why I'm trying to show it like something like that, Pak Gogor, Mbak Sita.
Okay, thank you. I think yes, this is resilience or survival way during this pandemic, but I think especially to enjoy the dangdut music, it's supporting things like ambience. Even some people need supporting things like alcoholic drink to boost the ambience of dangdut music live. Yeah, I agree about this. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We still have around 15 minutes. If not, perhaps we can conclude. There are several points that I'm especially.
But can I jump in?
Sure. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Mbak I
Yeah.
have a question for you. I think that I'm interested with your paper, and it's like the transformation, and then the social mimicry theory, and then the Omi Baba, and then the security good uniforms. I remember there's like a Raden Saleh that has had the same pattern, and it's like the mimicry and then the mockery of something like that, the pattern. And then my question is, what is different from the Raden Saleh case with this, Pak Gogor? Thank you.
Yeah, this is my initial research. So I have to try to connecting about the Homi Bhabha theory to this phenomenon. Actually, I do not yet watch about what you mean about Raden Saleh, but my subject is today phenomenon like the security guard uniform. But next time I try to connect it to what you ask, what is your question about Raden Saleh. I think it's a interesting subject too, to connecting about what Raden Saleh did in the connecting with social mimicry. How about he want to be Dutch-like in his performance daily that was used. Okay.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I forgot about that. I think it's also informed us about Raden Saleh's creativity to actually to perhaps against the colonial Dutch at the time, perhaps in my opinion. What do you think? Okay. I think maybe we should wait. If there is no response, I will close this panel with many thanks to all presenters, Mbak Gladys Eliona, Mbak Galuh Ambar, Mbak Teresia Pratiwi, Pak Petrus Gogur Bangsa, and Mas Michael Habir Aditya, and also all the committee and staffs of the CESAS UGM, and also all participants for your question and your time. We are looking forward to seeing you in future conferences from CESAS or from UGM. My name is Zita, and I thank you all and see you soon, hopefully offline. Oh, I'm sorry, we have to take a picture first.
Okay.
My bad. It's Indonesian tradition. We have to.
Indonesian tradition.
Yeah. Mohon bantuan Mbak atau Mas dari panitia. So I think I don't know how to take a screenshot. Please give us instruction, Mbak and Mas staff. Okay. Okay, Pak Petrus Gogur, you raise your hand.
No, just waving to you.
Okay, I will do it.
Saya mau yang ada bunga-bunganya. Mas, ini udah difoto belum, Mas, Mbak? Kelamaan nanti.
Where is the committee?
Yeah.
So let me count to the photo. 1, 2, 3. So, okay, once again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Thank you very
Basita.
much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.